What's up guys, I got a brand new video for you today, and this is the full production Crane 2S. If you watched my review that I put out a couple weeks ago, I actually had the Crane 2S pre-production model, and in my review I said I wished that this rear motor was actually lower so that you could actually see the back of the screen the way that all the newer gimbals are coming, because this is kind of the old style. Well, I found out that you can actually do that. So in this video, we're gonna unbox this, we're gonna set it up, and I'm also gonna show you how to actually move that motor down because it doesn't come that way out of the box. So we'll take a look at what this comes with, and I'll show you guys how to move that motor down because it's not that hard, but maybe you might wanna know how to do it since you can do it. So let's get into it. So we'll see what comes in this box. This is not the version that comes with all the extra parts like the follow focus and a bunch of the other things. This is just basically the gimbal, that's it. So this is the cheapest version you can get. But yeah, I haven't seen what actually comes in this box because when I got my version, it was in a cardboard box. Yeah, this comes with that foam case, similar to what the Crane 3S has. Actually, same as what DJI is doing as well. So, paperwork. Not sure if this will be in English or Chinese. Sometimes I get stuff and it's in Chinese. So this is telling you about activating the gimbal on your phone through the app. Because in order to do anything, you have to actually activate it. Service card, and this looks like the manual. I've actually never seen their manual before. Looks pretty good. But the point of this video is so that you don't need this. I'm gonna teach you everything you need to know. I'll open it this way. Nice. It smells like fresh electronics. As you can see, everything's laid out nicely. We have a case with locks on it. I don't know how well this will hold up, but it's a case. So it looks like they've got extra slots here for the follow focus motors if you had extra motors. Here's our box with all the cables. We'll go through that in a bit. We got our tripod, mini tripod for the bottom. 3 batteries. These are those 18650 batteries. I'll just put those back in there for now. We've got our main base plate. It's huge, and this does work with Manfrotto style tripods. At least it worked with mine. And then we've got a riser plate, and this riser plate's if you have like a thick lens where your camera is actually going to rub on the base plate. So I know that my G Master 24-70 on my A7 III does do that. So you actually have to put a riser plate on it like that so that it can dip down and let the lens have clearance. So this new charger has USB Type-C, which is nice. The original charger, the white one that these gimbals used to come with, didn't have USB Type-C. This is a lens support. This lens support is if you have really heavy lenses, and you can actually mount that to the front of this base plate using this little screw here. So it would go in like this. So this is the removable plate that actually goes into the bottom of the gimbal that I actually haven't seen on any gimbal yet. And the base plate slides into this, basically just like this. And then you lock it like that. There's a little button on the side here to pop it out. And that's basically it. All that's left is the gimbal itself. I went through all the little parts first. So I'm gonna take our little tripod here. There's a 1/4-20 on the bottom of this gimbal right here. And you can basically mount anything, tripods, base plates. But we're gonna put this little tiny tripod on here. And then we can actually set this down. Okay, so we can take a look at what comes with the gimbal as far as cables. They usually come with tons of cables. Oh, so these are the screws for the base plate. We've got 3 Allen keys. We might actually need these. So they give us 3 screws. One of them is for the riser plate. And then we have another one for our base plate. We have an extra one that's just extra, I guess. Okay, so looking at the cables in the box, we've got USB-C to USB-C. And most likely this is for one of the follow focus motors. We have USB to USB mini. So that's for older cameras and different things like that. Then we have USB-C to micro USB. And this is what I actually use to power the Tilta Nucleus N follow focus on this thing. And then we have another USB-C to micro USB, and it looks a little bit longer. And then the last cable is USB-A to USB-C, and this will be actually for the charger. Okay, so that's all the cables that this comes with. And won't need any yet. Okay, so let's take a look at the overall buttons, knobs, controls, ports, and switches on this gimbal. The first thing is the 3-axis locks that this has. So we have our pan lock, our tilt lock, and our roll lock. And you just switch them out and you can unlock them. Obviously, unlock and lock makes sense. So if we want to set this down, you can actually unlock this. You can lock them down. It actually makes it easier to balance. And we're going to take this lower plate here and actually just slide it into here. So we got to hold this button down and lock that down. And the nice thing about this plate is if you have a wide camera like the Blackmagic Pocket, you can actually slide that out because that camera is awkwardly wide and it'll fit nicely in here, which on most gimbals you're kind of stuck with something like this and then the camera doesn't properly fit. So you'd actually have to move the camera back in order to fit on the plate. So on this, you can actually just pull it out that far and then you can adjust your roll with this. So you got tons of room to move on this gimbal for any size camera pretty much. So obviously there's still some knobs, they're not all these locking latches. You got one knob here, so this is to tighten up this axis here. And there's also one down here as well. So coming down to the lower half of the gimbal here, we have a 1/4-20 right here, so you can mount monitors and other things like that. We have our focus knob right here. We have our switch back here for going in and out of follow mode. And I think you can actually program it to do other things. We have a USB port on the side here, another 1/4-20. So coming around to the main part of the gimbal where the screen is, we got our joystick, our mode switch, our record, and our power button, as well as the wheel. And the wheel is just for choosing stuff inside the menu. Obviously I showed you how to put the tripod on. Under here, when you twist this off, this is where you put the batteries in. On this brand new nice carbon fiber handle. You slide that off and then your batteries go inside there. So I did timestamp this video, and if you're getting to this section of the video, this is gonna be how we actually move this lower motor down to here, because we can actually do it on this gimbal. So, and it actually comes with the Allen keys that we need in order to move this stuff down. So you actually don't need any tools because it comes with them. So we're gonna unlock this and switch it to that side. All right, so flipping this thing over, we have 4 screws holding the rear motor on, 2 screws here, 2 screws here holding this cap on that's covering the actual wire that's connecting, and then 4 more screws here that's actually connecting this extension arm to this rear arm here. So what we're gonna do is take this out and then take these 4 screws and put them in right here, and that'll lower our motor right down. And so this comes with the Allen keys that we need to do this. So I'm gonna take these 2 Allen keys, and the first thing I'm gonna do is remove this cover with the smaller Allen key. Okay, so I got all 4 screws out now. Okay, so there was actually an extra screw right here that needed to come off as well for this little cap. All right, so now that those screws are off the cover, we're gonna take this other Allen key and start loosening up these bigger screws. And that's gonna allow this to actually pop the cover off because it's gonna sag a little bit. So I'm gonna slowly start to loosen these off. And I'm not gonna take them right out. I'm just gonna let this take a little pressure off the cover. Now you might want to put something under the gimbal right here because it's just going to collapse after. Now you have to be careful when you're taking these out because this is a ton of weight on this side and there is just a thin cable that runs up through the middle of this and you don't want to break that cable. And that's free. I'm just going to let this gently rest right here. And then I'm going to pop up this cover that was covering over the cable. So I'm just gonna take this cable cover and move it out of the way. And there's also another one down here as well. All right, so the next thing you need to do is actually pop this little cover off here. And I made that look easy, but it's actually not that easy. I had to kind of pry on it, and you gotta be really careful with it, but this piece has to come off, has to pop up, and this is kind of clamping down on it. So you need to actually pop that off so that you can pop this up and slide it off. So now that cover's off, I can just lift up on it and pull it out, and the arm is out of there now. So now we have this long cable, but basically we're gonna fold it up and then reattach the motor back here. So there is enough of a channel here that we can fold this cable up. We just have to make sure that it's not pinching. Okay, so it looks pretty good. There. Now we gotta take this little plastic cover that we popped off to one side and stick it right in here. Now we're gonna take our screws and put them back in here. Okay, so I got all the 4 screws just kind of snug. I didn't go too tight because you want to wiggle the motor so all the play's out of it. So you're gonna kind of wiggle the motor as you're tightening these down a little more. That way you know the motor's flush on this arm here. Otherwise you might have one side that's still up a little bit. You don't want it to be crooked. And if we did everything right and the cable didn't get pinched off, then we're good. So I'm gonna put a camera on this and put some batteries in it, and I'll show you how to set this up. Positive side is down. All right, so I'm gonna put the base plate on this camera. The arrow's facing forward. That's not where the lens goes. The lens goes to the side with the screw hole. The arrow's just pointing this way so that you can slide it into the gimbal. All right, so we're gonna take the camera, we're gonna slide it in here. As you can see, the camera's too wide, and that's kind of the advantage of this gimbal. You can actually slide this out so that you have room to slide your camera in. You can go all the way out if you wanted to, that way you can get to your card door and take your cards out. But I'm gonna keep it in about there. And I'm gonna tighten this down. That's gonna lock this movement. And I can lock this movement. And then I wanna unlock this lock here to see how much we need to move the camera forward or back. So I need to come back. Now this isn't a tutorial on balancing. I've already done a video. I'll put a link in the description if you want to see how to balance a gimbal. This is definitely one of the fastest gimbals to balance with all these lever locks. They're way nicer than the other locks. I don't really see the reason why this needed to have that extension arm. There's tons of room under this thing. And if you had a really long lens, it would shoot out past this. But maybe if you had like a really tall camera, like the 1DX Mark III, or even my C200 had to drop down all the way. But even then, like if I drop this down all the way, there's still clearance there. Okay, so the power button is this red button right here. You hold this down. It's booting up. Well, it says please activate. So I guess we'll have to open up the app here, go to the ZY Play app. Turn it back on. Connect now, enter now. We have full control here with the phone if you want to do joystick control. To get into the menu, you click the down button on the wheel. And in order to set our motors, we're going to click over on that. Then I'm just going to do auto and click over on that, and it's going to auto tune the entire gimbal. Now it's sending like vibrations through the motor to set the power, and that's it. I personally feel like every gimbal should have auto tune. I think that's amazing. Now I have all my stuff set really slow. It's using my old settings. So I'm not really going to go over everything else. That's just how to get your camera onto it, balance the motor on a 45-degree angle, which is really awesome. I kind of wish they would have done that right out of the box so that you get the gimbal this way, but if you like tinkering with things like me, it's not that big of a deal. I just know that some people might find it kind of tough to actually do this to their gimbal. Anyway, that's it for me on this video. Like I said, I kind of wish that this came in the box on a 45-degree angle, but I'm stoked that we actually have the ability to do it. And yeah, I would say it's a 4 out of 10 for difficulty. It's not that hard. You just gotta make sure you are aware of that cable and you're really careful with it because it could snap, and also you could strip an Allen key, but I had no problems. It turned out all right, and we're good to go. But that's it for me. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you dislike this video, give it a thumbs down twice. Don't forget to hit that notification bell. I'll see you guys in the next one. So the nice thing, which I was a little concerned about, is that it actually still fits in the case after you've modified the motor. So you can see where the extension would have gone up into here, and it still fits in, which I was a little bit worried about. You still have to take this piece out in order to do it, but it does fit back in the case. That's how you gotta do a thumbnail, right? Like you've never seen the thing before.